you ready? I said, are you ready for Let's Talk Whoa Hockey? And now, here are our hosts, Beth and Zach.
What's going on, hockey world? It's your girl Beth from Let's Talk WoHo Hockey, brought to you by In the Clutch Apparel and Level Up Snacks, joined as always by my dude, Zach. Dang it! I had such a streak going, pointing in the right direction, and I tried. I failed. How are you doing today?
Doing good. It's a much needed relaxation day because I've worked 54 hours in the last week, and I've had, I think since last Saturday and until yesterday, I had 1 day off. Yeah, I've had 1 day off since last Saturday, and that was a Saturday through Wednesday, Thursday off, and then work Friday, Saturday. So yeah, luckily this week's a little bit better. It's only 42 hours, but at least it's like today, tomorrow off, and then I work 3 in a row, but then I have Friday, Saturday off, and then work Sunday. Okay. So it's a little bit more blocked off. Yeah, it's not as awful. Other than that, I've been in this weird gray area now of like, I want to talk hockey, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm not going to tweet stuff that I'm kind of like about. So I'm trying to keep it to where it's like mainly for podcasting stuff. And then like, if there is something that pops up, I'll like bring up my thoughts on it, but I'm not going to like, oh, what am I going to formulate into a tweet and put it out there? It's like, I'm better when it's actual in-season stuff rather than off, like unless it's like trades or free agency.
Yeah, speculation is hard. I'm not gonna lie.
Speculation tweets I'm not good at. I'm more of like, okay, we know what's gonna happen, or like this is what I'm hoping is gonna happen, but it's not like pulling out of thin air. And it's like, let's see if this works. It's not something I do.
Throw it to the wall, see if it sticks. I don't.
Yeah, I'm not here for that. I'm not here for that. I will have other people do that. I'm more of like sort of like, this is what generally is kind of the consensus is. I want to speak about it, stuff like that. But
I'm like facts and information kind of person. Like
same. That's how it is.
Information.
Yeah. Like, okay, here's like maybe 4 or 5 guys that the Hurricanes are maybe centered around. We'll talk about that. I'm like, oh, I like that guy.
Yeah. Pick that guy because I like him. That one.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But no, other than that, I've been mixing in a little bit of the baseball stuff now because, I'm a big baseball person as well. So it's more of like, trying to help me get through the not just sitting around and not really being active. So it's kind of like I'm falling on like my second, because I used to have a podcast about baseball too. So it's like getting back into that a little bit, just trying to, bridge a little bit of like in between my team season's ending to training camp of next year, without all the extra stuff. So, but how are you doing though?
I'm tired. I've been running nonstop for the last week. It's been a week. I finally got to sit down and relax. Went and saw Top Gun yesterday.
Oh, how
phenomenal.
Was it? Oh, okay.
So good. Watched the new Fantastic Beasts movie yesterday when I went to bed, and then finished watching it today because I fell asleep. Not because it was boring, but because I was exhausted.
Oh no, I get that. Yeah, I've heard Maverick's supposed to be really good because I know a lot of people are like a lot of people are getting like just mustaches now because of
Miles Teller.
Yeah, Miles Teller's character. Of course, it had to be.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, like it's not a spoiler. Everyone knows who his dad is in the movie.
Yeah,
it's Goose.
Yeah,
so it's like, I can't believe he's trying to blame Maverick of what happened.
Yeah.
It's not his. Yeah,
it is what
drama,
it is.
Drama. But
he was a baby when it happened, so he doesn't understand. But trust me, see the movie; it's worth it. There were many times I forgot to breathe. I saw Bob's Burgers last week. It's if you watch the show. So I did though. I did watch. Good if you're a fan.
Oh yeah, if you're a fan of the show, you're gonna love the movie. They do a lot of tie-ins from the show into the movie, and it's kind of like you get an origin story of one of the characters of like. Okay. So it's really good. But I finally sat down and watched all of Shoresy until like 2 a.m.
About time, sir. About time.
Hey, okay. I've been busy covering hockey for a podcast for the last
blah blah blah. Covering hockey, is that something that we do here? I think so, but
yes,
I'm really excited.
Yeah, Shoresy was really chef's kiss, amazing. I'm ready for season 2 already. Like, okay, please be more than 6 episodes.
It's not going to be. They're always 6 episodes. It's not going to be. So I'm really excited because there's a person sitting down here. You can't see him. I can see him. and I'm ready to bring him on. Are you ready?
I am really excited for our guest because I really like the magazine he works for. I have a yearly subscription. Phenomenal stuff. Like every one that comes out that I get delivered to my house, it's an absolute banger every single time.
Same.
It's like
I grew up reading this publication.
Oh,
so.
Same. So you're like, before I even got the subscription, the one I got every year was the preview episode for the actual
preview
one
for the draft. Yeah.
Well, not draft preview. Regular season previews. The season yearbooks are always my favorites, and those are automatics every single year. Now I got the subscription, so I'm really excited for that. But yeah, no, the yearbooks were always so great. Like every year you had to get it. It's like it's the thing to get, in my opinion.
For sure. So let's bring him on so he can wait no longer. Wolfhawks, without further ado, we welcome Ian Kennedy, writer for The Hockey News. How are you doing, Ian?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for reaching out. Like, I had a fangirl moment when your name popped up in my Twitter messages. I was like, I called my dad. I was like, Dad. And he was like, wait, from The Hockey News, the magazine I've been reading since I was a child and you've been reading since like forever? I was like, yeah, that one.
I'm the same way. I started in like the newspaper version, so I've been reading it forever as well.
Yeah, no, he has my dad has a fantastic like hockey museum in the basement of his house, and there are
it's so great.
Plenty of old Hockey News magazines and newspapers down there, and it's fun to still flip through them sometimes. I mean,
it could make the Hall of Fame kind of like nervous of how nice this thing is.
I mean, it's nice, but it's not Hall of Fame. It's not Hall of Fame nice.
It's close. It's we
love
close.
My dad, but it's
pretty close though.
It's essentially like a Blackhawks museum for 90% of it, and then his second team is the Habs, and he actually has a chair from the Montreal Forum, nice. And then just all sorts of vintage hockey stuff everywhere. I'll send you pictures later.
Pads,
it's beautiful.
Sticks, hockey cards, like
yeah.
I've got it all. Mine's I'm in a blank room right now, so I've got canvas, but I just haven't done it yet. So
yeah, no, I mean, you can see behind me like it's starting, and he was like, well, what do you eventually want? Like, one day I'm gonna die. I was like, all of it.
Yeah.
And he was like, you have a stepbrother. I was like, and I still want all of it.
Sucks to suck, homeboy. It's not my problem.
Well, what do you want? I was like, okay, so at least the Blackhawks wall. Where are you going to put it? I'll find a place.
You have a house.
I have a whole house. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm going to find a place. I wouldn't want any of it. I'd ask him to throw it out just based on my Red Wings love. So I can't.
Well, everybody, this has been our conversation with Ian Kennedy.
Bye.
I mean, he does have some Red Wing stuff. He's got a lot of original six stuff. I mean, our family has a lot of love for the original six teams. So there is plenty in there. Not a lot of Red Wings. I mean, some splatterings of things, but it is what it is. Lines are drawn. So I know we had talked, you're covering the Women's U18 Worlds. That's coming up. Starts today for everyone who's listening, but tomorrow for us.
Yeah, it's really amazing to see that event come back after having it off for a while. And, the men have continued to get the opportunity to play throughout the pandemic. And that, speaks to some of the bigger issues in the world of hockey and where we place our value in the game. But to see this next group come back when we, I think for a lot of people, it's going to be a ton of unknowns coming into this tournament, and we're going to learn who that next star is going to be pretty soon.
Yeah, I know. I've talked to Zach about it before. I actually didn't watch any of the men's tournament when they continued to play after the women's tournament was canceled, because to me it was an injustice. I mean, those girls and women deserve to play just as much as the boys and men did. And the fact that they were like, well, you guys can still play, but sorry, ladies, we're not even going to try to find a place to hold this event. See you next year.
Absolutely. Completely. I think everybody responded the same way. I'm not sure what Hockey Canada, USA Hockey, the IHF, I have no idea what they were thinking and how they even got to remotely believe that that was an appropriate action at that time. But we're back. So
we're back.
Hopefully that never repeats itself. And that's, I guess that's the only thing we can hope for, is that something was learned from that. And should there be another global pandemic, then I hope that
I'm not ready.
I hope that never happens again. So here we are, though. It's we're kicking off some new the hockey's next wave of women's stars.
I love it. Look, the only thing at this point that I want from the IIHF is I want them to recognize that if they're going to call it the Women's World Tournament, that they also need to call it the Men's World Tournament, because you can't call it Worlds and then Women's Worlds. Like,
places a secondary tier to women's hockey, and that's something that I write about constantly, is the use of language in all of this, and that if we are saying Women's World Championship, we have to say Men's World Championship, because otherwise, if men's is just the World Championship, that places women's sport as a secondary, and of course that's just it's sexist, it's misogynist, it is all of those things combined, and I don't think that any women's hockey player that's worked her entire life to get there should ever have to feel like there's even a remote secondary existence to that tournament. So we are back to what I will call the World Championships, and then the other side can put the men's on it for themselves. And,
you know what? I'm fully on board for this. It's the Men's World Championships and the World Championships. Like after a hiatus, the World Championships are back, everybody.
Yeah, I think it's good. There's 8 teams. I think we're going to see some excitement from Canada and the USA again. But one of the things that I'm really watching is that because Europe had shorter gaps in pandemic breaks, I'm wondering if perhaps Sweden and Finland might have made some gains perhaps over the last 2 years, while some of our top women's hockey players really didn't have gameplay. It was just off ice training and maybe some skills work. But Canada in particular, I think, had the largest and longest breaks from play. So I don't know if that will hurt our team, me being Canadian, so I'll say our, but I don't know. I know that, the USA's won it like 5 of the last 6 years. So to discount anything that they're going to bring to the table is obviously would be pretty naive of me, but
yeah. I mean, I checked the site earlier today, and the U.S. did beat Canada in their preliminary matchup 3-1.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's looking good for our girls. I know it's preliminary. It's not, the official tournament, but
the USA's got some great. I mean, first and foremost, the U.S. has 2 players returning, Kirsten Sims and Danielle Bergen, which are, considering the last one was in 2020, that's pretty impressive that they're both still here. They were obviously young stars at that time. They've got 3 members from the 19U national champion Little Caesars team that will be on their roster. One of those being Sims, who was the star of that team. And another name I'm looking forward to seeing, there's Tessa Janicki, scored 120 points in 78 games for the North American Hockey Academy. So, if those stats transfer over whatsoever for her, I think that they're going to, of course, like always, have quite a bit of firepower. And but you never know, right? That one game championship, Canada and USA have done it so many times. So
it's the same in for pretty much all women's hockey Canada USA matchups. It's it can go from one game to the next, and that one game is just a difference maker. I did see earlier today the PHF retweeted that Team USA is actually being led by an all-female coaching staff as well. So that is really, really cool to see all women's coaches behind the bench with that team. I know that's not the norm. I mean, generally there's male coaches, male staff behind the bench. So it's nice to see a full complement of women's staff behind the bench too.
Yeah, that's a huge step, because obviously, there are so many talented coaches out there. And that's one of the things that I've written about a couple of times for the Hockey News recently. I did a list of 20 women that could become the next NHL general manager, and 20 women.
I read that list. I love that list.
So yeah, that's just to put the names out there, I think is important, and to showcase, first and foremost, I think one of the exciting things when you look at women in coaching is that almost everyone comes out of university with a degree, and they typically have that NCAA background where they've got some kind of sport management or psychology degrees, or whatever it might be that probably is very beneficial to being a coach, and then that just the national champions and the gold medalists, and there are so many skilled and experienced women in the game of hockey that it doesn't make a lot of sense to only give that role to men. So to see the USA do that is an exceptional step.
Well, especially, I mean, Sydney Brott is on the coaching staff. Like Minnesota Whitecaps, Sydney Brott is there coaching the U18 team, which is just, I mean, that just gives another kind of, step into what the PHF is doing for the sport of women's hockey. Because, I mean, not only are they breeding fantastic athletes who love the game, and, I mean, up until recently kind of played the game for pennies because they love the game. Now they're bringing up coaches onto the world stage. So it's definitely something beautiful to see.
Yeah, I know that even in Canada's side, some of the women that are there, like Vicky Sunahara is someone that I know personally, 2-time Olympic gold medalist, 7-time world champion for Canada, probably one of the greatest women's hockey players to ever skate. And she's there as an assistant. So having, those types of role models, whether it's someone that's recently been playing, like you mentioned, in the PHF, or someone that was in the game a decade ago, it doesn't really matter. It's just wonderful to see those that representation there.
No, for sure. And I mean, especially, if you're a Canadian girl, young woman playing hockey, to have someone like that on your coaching staff that I am sure they've all looked up to. They've probably watched her highlights on YouTube hundreds of times. I mean, to now play for her, I can't imagine what kind of honor that is for them, and to learn the game from her as well. I mean, she's obviously played at a very highly skilled level too.
Yeah. And then, Canada, I think, is going to be a really balanced team. I don't know if, especially up front, I'm not sure if there's going to be one person per se that's going to really step outside and be that superstar like we're seeing, once in a while, once in a generation still, but it's really deep. I'll throw some names at you, I guess, to preview that team as well. There's Alex Law and Carol Prefontaine, who I think should be two of the leaders for Canada's forward groups. There's also someone from London, Ontario, a woman named Madison Chandler, who's the top scorer from the Ontario U22 Elite League. But I really think that the best two players probably for Team Canada are actually going to be on the blue line, Sarah Swiderski and Brooke Disher, who Disher is going to be the captain for Canada. But those two, I think, are probably going to be, against this, what we know will be a talented USA team, make or break on the blue line, I think, for them. So.
No, when you've got a team with somebody who scored 120 goals in 78 games, I mean, having some good talent on the blue line is definitely something that you're going to need to kind of hopefully quench that fire a little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's the rivalry, though, is just so amazing. That's I think we've all watched over the last several years. So I'm really hoping, though, like I said, to see that if Sweden or Finland can take a step in. I know that Sweden's team is pretty much exclusively playing in their SDHL, which is, Sweden's top women's pro league over there. So they've got more experience playing against stronger, older women. And Finland actually has the most experience of any team in the top bracket. They've got 6 players returning from that 2020 tournament. So wow. I think that's, something to watch. I don't know. I still don't think the gap has been closed, of course, but the experience of being there once before might help them in those first couple of games instead of, taking 2 to see where they're at.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like you were saying with Sweden and Finland, like we're talking like a really stacked Group A. Like you said, you got Canada and USA, and then you got Finland and Sweden. Like you said, the gap isn't really close per se, but the fact that those two teams have been playing together more often than Canada, USA, that's definitely going to make. I think that's going to make the Group A a lot harder than it usually has been in years past. Like, could you say there might be weird circumstances if something happened, and maybe that we might get a surprise dark horse out of Group A from Sweden and Finland to maybe do something?
Yeah, I mean, if you look back to the 2020 tournament, some of those games were 1-goal games between USA, Canada, and the other competitors. I mean, I guess in 2020 it was Russia that won the bronze medal, but they took Canada to like 1-goal games, and I don't see any reason why. In women's hockey, a lot of the times that the goaltending can be, someone can just be miles above the rest of the players on their team. I'm not 100% sure if the Swedes or the Finns have that this year in net, but Sweden in particular, I think, is really interesting. They've got their two leading scorers from that SDHL are both 15 years old right now. So even if and their leading scorer from the SDHL is 16. She's a defender, actually. So
wow.
Even if this year it's not, we don't see that upset, to see probably what will be the best three players on Sweden's team as two 15-year-olds and a 16-year-old. Wow. They've got a couple more seasons to do this. So
right.
The gap is closing. And who knows, one game, again, everything's one game, hot goaltender, frustration on the other side. And we've definitely seen it. It's happened in international women's competition before. It's unlikely. But
right.
If it's going to happen, it's going to happen at the U18 level, probably more so than anywhere, because they don't have that experience coming through the adversity of international play yet. This is the learning, their stomping grounds to do that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's why I'm sorry about that when you cut you off. But I think that's why I'm kind of thinking that maybe this might be the year then for one of the Scandinavian teams to maybe do something, because, like you said, it's been long gaps for the USA and Canada. Maybe it's like, maybe the goalies just they've been playing a little bit more often, so maybe they don't have as much rust as like the the other two teams in that group haven't really done a whole lot. So who knows? Like you said, maybe anything could happen where it's like hot goaltending. They just get lucky at the right time, and maybe this is like their year to like maybe surprise people more than, like you said, in years past, where it's everyone's been playing it the whole time and stuff like that. It could be, that usual gap. But then you look at Group B. I mean, you have Czech Republic, you got Germany, you got Slovakia and Switzerland. Like, what are you kind of looking at from Group B in terms of like what teams out of that group can maybe make some noise come tournament time starting tomorrow or today when people listen?
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to make. Of course, you got to finish top two in Group B to get your chance at the quarterfinals against the bottom two in Group A. And I don't know if anyone's going to stun someone per se. Right. We have definitely seen some development on the women's side. But again, without Russia there, we're throwing in an extra country right now. So I don't know. Switzerland, maybe. It's really like the gap is so big between the four and the next. But I think the best part there is just to watch for, we will see some individual stars for each country. We will see that the game is developing in general for women internationally. We're not going to see the huge blowouts when they get to that quarterfinal game as we might have seen before. It's just not going to happen. So that's I think where the best bet is. Maybe we get an upset in that game because it will be closer there. But I don't really, that's to be honest, that's those groups are so deep that. Buried, I guess, in international hockey. But Switzerland and Czechia have produced more high-end players recently. So I think if we're looking at like the SDHL champion over in Sweden this year, had a couple of Czech players on it. And in that final game, both the teams had Czech players and Danish players and Swiss players. So I think that those two countries right now are producing more that are getting into the some of those top women's leagues. So that might be where we see something happen. But who knows? Like I said, it's been so long off. I'm just excited to see it back and running for sure.
Oh yeah, same here. And like I know on the men's side, I know Germany's getting kind of really good now. Maybe we could see it kind of like a transition into the women's team too, because I've heard the women's team for Germany has been getting a little bit better as well. We don't know to, like you said, to what extent, but I mean, it seems like overall hockey in Germany has been getting a little bit more of an increase. With Leon Draisaitl now and other players in the past, it seems like that group and that country's getting full bore into more of hockey as well. So I would like, even when you said Switzerland and Chechnya, I want to look past Germany to maybe kind of surprise people in Group B.
Yeah, I mean the men's side, like you said, it's incredible. I mean, we saw them win the Olympic medal without the NHLers a couple of years, 2 Olympics back now. But Moritz Seider, he's one of the best defenders in the NHL. Leon Draisaitl, they've had a lot of top picks. JJ Peterka. It's a league or a country that's developing top prospects, and we're going to see more Germans drafted this year again in the NHL. So you're right. I think as the hockey community, I guess, or systems build, the arenas are there, the infrastructure's there, and as the training programs come along, it's obviously whether or not women's hockey has been a focus in the past, it naturally will become a focus there too. So that will be, you're right. That's probably a country to watch and see where they're at right now.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry. As someone who has German on both sides of the family and is really into the German, sports, soccer, and the German league over there too. Like, it's good to see that they're seeing more of an uptick in terms of actual hockey being kind of like almost a hotbed there now, instead of just, it's these couple sports. Now it's like, well, we have this too. So it's good to see that we're getting more countries that are kind of pushing more for both men's and women's. Well, especially for women's, because that's what we're here for, is more development for women's hockey. So it's good to see that other countries are kind of getting more into it now, especially over there. So yeah, like you said, it's very exciting as someone who's with German ancestry, seeing hockey kind of being taken seriously over there now.
Yeah, I was going to say, with hockey growing like in a country like Germany, I know, especially here, talking to several of the athletes, coaches that we have just on the podcast, most of them wanted to play hockey because their brother or their cousin or their dad played hockey, and they wanted to do it too. So I know that development happens in other countries as well. I mean, these German kids are getting drafted into the NHL. Their siblings, their cousins, their family members, they are going to want to play hockey too, because they want to be just like them. I mean, look at Lucas Reichel, look at Leon Draisaitl. I mean, look at all these players who are, getting drafted to play in the top NHL, positions. Lucas made his NHL debut this year. And so it's something that I definitely think can continue to grow in these other countries for the women's side of the game, because they're going to have siblings and family members who are going to want to be just like them.
Yeah, if you look in the SDHL, I know I keep coming back to that because it was one of the main leagues that played this year. But that final was a record-breaking attendance final. Like 7,500 fans, and if you saw the pictures, like they had their banners and they were singing their chants. It was amazing.
European hockey is very underrated. That's why I tell people, like, what? Because everyone kind of like over here, like kind of crap on soccer a lot, but like if you go and watch it over there, like European,
it's crazy.
It's absolutely insane. Especially, I say German fans are probably the most into it than anyone else, because like if you like watch any German hockey games, it's like they bring that type of level to that as well, and it's absolutely insane how the atmosphere over there is almost like either about the same as NHL playoff level of intensity just by the fans alone, because it's absolutely crazy how into it they get with banners and flares and smoke and stuff like that. It's wild. It's just crazy to see how it's over there. Like I would love to see smoke and chants and flags over here. Could you imagine NHL playoff games with that?
We're trying, okay? We're trying. Barns have gotten much louder than they used to be in the playoffs. The push is there.
Could you imagine though? Oh my god!
Yeah, if they can get if NHL fans and PHF fans could get organized like they are in Europe when it comes to sports.
Oh man.
Watch out, because
one of the I do think when we're speaking of course, because it's a women's hockey podcast, when we're talking about fandom on the women's side, one of the people I interviewed recently was Angela Ruggiero, and she is doing a lot of research about fans and engaging new fans. And one of the interesting things that she told me was that women's fans will watch more of a game than men's fans. And she attributes that to you can't be a passive women's hockey fan, or at least you couldn't forever. You had to search out the games. You had to buy the apps. You had to, follow the specific accounts. You couldn't just pop open your TV and find 6 different games on any night. So the engagement level of fans in women's sport are, of course, much higher than men's sport. We just need to broaden it so there's more, sponsorship funding, and we want, of course, the fan bases to grow too. So
more teams and all that stuff too. Gotta help, because that's what, for us, like you're saying, more passion. That's why I have this podcast.
That's why we're here.
because for me, I kind of knew about the league until about season 5. It was really hard to watch, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's on Twitch. Okay, cool, I'll watch it there. And then started watching it, and then it's like, okay, this is really awesome. And, you get more into it because Beth, you probably can attest to this too. It's like, how much do we really watch of formerly now NWHL and now the PHF? Wasn't a whole lot of areas for us to watch it. And think of what season 5 when they went to Placid, it kind of took off from there in a sense, because
when they started streaming on Twitch, and you could actually, if you weren't local to an area, you could actually watch a PHF game. I was glued to every single broadcast, every single one.
Oh, same here. It was,
I up until this past season, I didn't even have a team because I just wanted to consume as much women's hockey as humanly possible. And so I just wanted everybody to have a good time. I was that person. I just want everybody to have a good time. But now obviously I'm a Whale fan. And I went to Tampa. I live in Florida. I went to Tampa. I went Friday through Monday. I drove home at a ridiculously late hour because I wanted to be there and watch the game in person. I didn't want to watch it on TV.
9 p.m. puck drops are an absolute no-no for the East Coast.
Awful. Terrible, terrible things. But
who thought of that?
Probably ESPN. Let's be honest. It was probably ESPN.
Curse you, ESPN.
But the fact that women's hockey was on ESPN, granted it was 9 p.m., it was broadcast live on broadcast television. The Women's Olympics had higher viewership than some of the men's regular season NHL games. The desire to watch this game exists, and I hope that people start to pick up on that more.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to come along. I wish I do have the Toronto 6 that I could make the 3-hour drive to go see, but as the PHF expands, which we're still waiting for, that's and that's a conversation I've been having behind the scenes regularly. That's something, a portion of that league that I'm following. That will be great, because what people need to do is see the game, right? And if you don't use Twitch or another streaming platform as adequately as some people, the older fans perhaps, there's definitely a demographic that's not going to get it. So that's why I think what the PWHPA has been doing with the tour is wonderful, because it does hit more cities. It's going to bring it someplace near to you. So between the two of those leagues, obviously there's a space between the two of those leagues in many ways, but I think it's coming, right? Like you said, it's definitely the fact that game was on ESPN, and we're going to see more. Even this U18 tournament, TSN in Canada is covering it. Everything's going to be broadcast the following day on ESPN. So we're going to see and the NHL Network, I guess it is. I think not ESPN perhaps, but
I think I saw it was going to be live broadcast on ESPN Plus, and then aired the following day on ESPN. So you can actually watch more women's hockey live. Like ESPN Plus has been a godsend for women's sports because they really have started to embrace it.
I know what I'm watching tomorrow since I'm off. Yeah, it's like, oh yay, more hockey, sweet. It's what I need in my life. Yeah, but you like you see what the say less. But going back to the PWHPA, like you're saying, Ian, like yeah, they're doing that tour, but I think I've seen Beth. What did you say? One game has been kind of televised for that Barnstorming tour they've really had. Like other than that, you might get updates on socials. That's really about it. Like it's because I forgot they were even touring half the time, and like not trying to be come off mean about it. It's just you didn't really see a lot of marketing for that. Like I think the only one that was kind of doing it was the Penguins PR team, because that was the game that was actually live on NHL Network. Like yeah, it's good that they're doing this tour that they're doing, but it's also kind of like how are we gonna watch it if they're not streaming? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's definitely a challenge. That league, potential league would be a wonderful step. And barnstorming historically was something that was used by oppressed groups to actually find a way to play. So it really is just another step in that progression, whether it was back in the 1930s when all black baseball teams didn't have leagues that they could enter into. So they would barnstorm from town to town to town because that's the only way they could A, get competition, B, make money. So,
sure.
It's not this is
very historical. This is
kind of the way that things have happened. And of course, this is a little more grand. It's a bigger scale. It's there could be leagues. There is a league that those women could play in. Of course, the idea of what sustainable means and what logistically looks professional and what benefits are there has become the divide. But it's going to lead to something, and hopefully when it does lead to that, we have television rights that come along with it.
Yeah, no, I'm really hopeful that, give me all the women's hockey. I had some issues with some of the statements they said about, being an elite women's hockey league and things like that, kind of looking down on the PHF just because, they exist and they do play at a very highly skilled level, even if they aren't national team members and, faces that an everyday person who doesn't watch women's hockey would recognize. But I just want all the women's hockey, just like injected into my veins, like hook me up to an IV. I'm going to watch. I'm hopeful that maybe there'll be a Florida team. I don't know. They haven't really, announced anything other than they're exploring the option with the Billie Jean King group, which I think is a great organization to be paired with because Billie Jean King did amazing things for equality in women's sports on all fronts. So I'm hoping that January 23 actually happens. But right now we're a bit starved for information for the league to be named at a later time. So
yeah. So when it was funny when the timing of that came out, I had just interviewed, and I won't name them because they probably don't want that. But I had just named I interviewed national team members for a variety of different pieces that I was working on and things like that, and they legitimately did not know that a league was coming. They knew that it was, everything was in the works. But when that announcement dropped, I think it was Jeff Merrick that broke that story. But, when that happened, it was a leak of information that even surprised the players, many of them at least. I'm sure there's an internal group that knew everything, but some of them that are doing their own thing, whether they're, working other jobs right now, or whether they're in coaching, they're probably focusing more on that than they are this league until it comes around. They were anticipating January would be the start of a new tour, not of a league.
Oh, wow.
So it's
interesting.
That's something that I think was a surprise to them that not everyone, but to some players that aren't in perhaps that inner circle. But like you said, the Billie Jean King thing is awesome. They've got Mark Walter on there, who's the owner of the Los Angeles Dodgers. And even Billie Jean King's organization, they have minority stakes in National Women's Soccer League organizations and WNBA, so that the experience there of professional women's sport should be absolutely paramount in what they're about to do. I think, of course, the WNBA is the model that everyone wants this to follow, because it has turned extremely sustainable, and they're about to expand at a time that expansion is way overdue, when first round draft that league can't even remotely have a chance to make most of the teams.
It's wild because a lot of teams run out of money to pay these players. And I forget the girl's name. She was on one of the teams, like the first top 5 picks. She couldn't even join because they ran out of money. I think it was the LA Sparks, ran out of money. They could not pay her, and she was the top, I think, 5 or 3rd pick in the draft. It's insane how you can have top end players not be able to play because we ran out of money and there's no room on any of the rosters. So it's why put her in a situation like that?
I think that's what the PWHA is trying to do right now, right? They're trying to get the ducks in the row so that there's no financial issues whatsoever. The last thing they're going to do is start this league and have rumors come out that people aren't being paid, or checks are bouncing, or a team has to fold mid-season or anything like that. They're not going to do that. And you can see that the way they're going about it right now with the people they're bringing in, that this is going to be, even if it's heavily sponsorship driven, or whether or not, of course, there's about 11 NHL teams that are independently putting their name behind it. The NHL itself, of course, is got its one issues that aren't.
We don't want any part unless you ladies get along, which just drives me insane.
Well, once Gary Bettman's gone, we have a whole different mindset of an upper echelon of the NHL. Maybe we'll finally get there, but first, we need a change of a guard. We've mentioned this a lot, that we're kind of stuck in the 1990s version of the NHL with Gary Bettman in charge. I think there's some time for us to have a little bit more of newer nuance and progression with the league.
A female commissioner would be wonderful. I mean, I'm just throwing that out there. If you want change, put a woman in charge.
Yeah, I will. I would love to see. Well, of course, more diversity in general. We're seeing it a little bit here and there. We've got 2 women as assistant general managers with the Vancouver Canucks right now. We saw the Amanda Kessel hire, who I got to interview about a week ago for the Pittsburgh Penguins.
That's right.
She's phenomenal. We love Amanda.
Kendall's Coyne Schofield with the Blackhawks. Everything she's doing over there.
Dugan in New Jersey just got promoted. So we're seeing that it's happening slowly. But we don't also want just to be hiring women in men's sport either. We want these top names and brains to be the driving forces behind whatever comes out of the PWHPA or even in the PHF. It doesn't really matter, in my opinion. Like you said, the NHL saying they're not going to do anything unless it's both is kind of just asinine. It doesn't make any sense. If you want to promote women's hockey, you're going to just put yourself behind one league. Even it doesn't matter. Just do it, and both will profit.
Yeah,
they're trying to make it more complicated than it needs to be, and it's pretty much on brand with the league. It's just, how can we bury our head in the sand without actually doing something about it? It's like I said, and even with Hillary Knight, she's been doing a massive she's been doing a lot of the calling of games, helping out with analysts and stuff like that. And now, of course, now they're all back together getting ready in their camps. But it's just it's the NHL could easily back one, and we would have no issues of figuring that out, or it's just doing
realistically, the NHL could back both leagues and there would be no problem, because there's 6 PHF teams. They're talking about 6 teams in this new league. There are 32 teams in the NHL and potentially 12 women's teams. They very easily could back both leagues
with their expansion fees. They asked Seattle and Vegas to pay up to get those teams. Yeah, I think they're a little bit all right in terms of money and the fact that they are a $1 billion company league. I think you're kind of all right with setting up 12 teams or 13 if that Montreal team in the PHF gets formed, or that 8th team if
the 8th team who I've heard Detroit, the name that's been discussed. I don't know. They just
it was Providence. It was Providence. It was Providence, and it
was Providence. Okay,
apparently no longer Providence, but it was Providence.
Okay,
so that's that was the other location. Who knows now? I've heard scuttlebutt that for that anything that it could be just the 7th team this year.
I've heard that as well.
Again,
that's still fine too.
We're deep in the off season, though. In my opinion, we're 1 month into free agency. I think the best scenario at this point is that whoever that team is already has a lot of players on paper behind the scenes, and when they announce, they're going to announce 6 signings the same day or something like that.
They're going to be like, "Here's our new team. Also, here's our whole roster."
Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why the Boston Pride has not named any signings yet, because half their team is probably going to Montreal because the owners own both teams. So
who knows?
Conspiracy hat on.
Oh goodness, where's your tinfoil, Zach?
I have the same feeling that's why I do have the same feeling that's why we're not having a lot of announcements with Boston. I'm
not crazy. I'm not crazy.
No, you're not crazy.
I don't think you're crazy. No, I think that's a pretty logical thought. I think that they're probably working on 2 teams at the same time. And that's a reasonable assumption to think that that's why we're not hearing a lot of announcements, because and luckily, Montreal, they're going to have a ton of hockey players sitting there doing other things that can play on that team and are capable of playing in that league. So that's why I think, centering these expansion teams with either heavily, populated centers like Montreal, where we've got a big swath of women that played hockey growing up, or you need to plunk it in like in the middle of a triangle of NCAA teams, that people are going to come out and stay in those communities. Because right now, aside from the upper echelon, most people are still going to be doing something else with their careers. It's not exclusive at this moment. Maybe Grant Mentis might not do anything else. She's got the biggest contract right now, and
that was
probably not.
when that rumored signing came out, and it was she's going to be the first women's hockey player to sign a 6-figure Canadian deal. I was like, Zach, this is happening. And then for it to be announced the amount that it was, of course, obviously rumors and conjecture, salaries aren't officially released. So, but $80,000,
which is an
and
issue.
That doesn't include. It is, and as much as sometimes I disagree with what she puts out on Twitter, I do agree with the former head of the PWHPA coming out and saying, like, you guys need to unionize. You need to make your salaries public. This is going to help negotiate future deals. But if you all keep it to yourself,
that's a conversation as well. Like, that is a conversation that's ongoing. I've spoken, I interviewed and spoken multiple times to Nicole Carrero there, who is the new Players Association lead, and there is discussion around the need for that. I think that everyone recognizes that moving forward, you're without the transparency of what the lowest paid player is making. The top player doesn't really matter, because that's not where the sustainability of the league comes, by flashing 3 or 4 players' salaries. It comes from the person that is making, who knows what the lowest will be, but that person's still working another job and still struggling and can't train the way that the rest of the players can. So until that aspect is out there, and we have, like Cap Friendly or a website like that, like we do in the NHL,
even if it is Cap Friendly, they could very easily add a PHF section for Cap Friendly.
Oh yeah, Hockey DB does it, and Elite Prospects do it too. Like, it's not that hard to get something like that out there, because it'd be nice to know, like, okay, here's what your contracts are kind of like this is how it's broken down. It's like it would make it so much easier for people to know what's going on and be like, okay, well, this person's getting this, I want to get that, instead of just being like, okay, well, we'll figure out how much you're gonna make. And it's just like we finally just got to 2-year deals going into season 8. We're finally getting 2-year deals. It's like, what?
But it is.
Well, the same issues are going to come up too of eventually when players are getting paid more and we get closer and closer to the salary cap, like the same things are going to come up where we start talking trades or interleague transfers. I know is another conversation that's probably going to have to happen between the PWHPA and the PHF. Like similar to what the KHL and the NHL do, there's going to have to be some kind of contractual out or agreement on when they can transfer between leagues. Maybe it takes, you were speaking about European soccer, maybe it takes a loan a pathway like that. I've heard that conversation occur a couple of times behind the scenes of potentially doing loans between teams and leagues. So I don't know, but the transparency's got to happen. Otherwise we're never going to know when that actual day is that the league is fully sustainable. So
can you imagine trades in the PHF? Oh my gosh, talk about content for days. It's just like
it would have to be once the league is to the point where these players are only playing hockey, because you can't ask a teacher middle of the school year, sorry, we've traded you from Boston to Toronto,
bye.
I mean, you can't ask that of a teacher or a nurse. I mean, nursing probably a little bit easier because obviously medical professionals are very much in need right now with everything going on in the world, but you can't just ask somebody to uproot everything in certain careers and move at the drop of a dime. So until it's their only job, you can't. I mean, trades are kind of a hard thing to talk about.
Well, that's why they abolished the draft, really, right? Because the draft wasn't really a draft. It was talk to the players that you knew were in your area that were willing to play, contact them first, interview them first, and then agree that they would play for you. Then you draft them. The free agency thing right now works. It's not, hopefully, again, it's not a permanent thing. Someday when players are all making $200,000 then or more, it's, players will go anywhere to play that, right? So that's the idea. That's where they want to get to, and that is the goal of everybody.
Well, I mean, even $100,000 is a good start. Just to be like, okay, here's 6 figures. Now you don't have to worry about doing anything else. Like, okay, who says?
But I mean,
that'd be a good start for sure.
Free agency's been kind of great. We've seen a lot of players come over from a league that we've already talked about, the SDHL. We've had a lot of movement, especially from HV71. They seem to just all be coming over to play for the PHF this season. I'm a little worried for that team because, my goodness, it seems like every player that's come over from the SDHL has been from HV71.
Well, and even players who are going to play the PWHPA too. Like, we have Olympians now in the league as well. So like, we're seeing a movement to the PHF. It's not looked at as, oh, it's just, a women's league that can't get together. Now it's like, no, there's something cooking here, and like, let's get on it now. When you got full benefits, now you're getting 2-year deals. Like, you're actually seeing an upward trend in a league that's been really working hard the last couple seasons to kind of get there. And now I think it's finally getting the respect it really deserves, because of the fact that they've really been trying to make it where it could be sustainable at some point, rather than just trying to make it like survive, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
There is no guarantee either with the PWHPA that every player that's a member of that organization right now will be able to play in a full league. There's no guarantee with that, because, a lot of them have other life plans. They're solidified in a certain community right now, and they're happy to go do the weekend tours and events. But when you say, we're going to play 30-something games in 3 months,
that's a lot. That's a lot of hockey.
It changes things, and that's not talking about practices and other events and things like that. So, I don't think it's illogical to think that we're going to see more people moving to the PHF from maybe not those elite national team players, but some of the borderline ones that have been, that are amazing hockey players, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But and that's, as you said, I think, Beth, the discussion of what is elite is like the PHF is elite. It is.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
So it's to say anything different. These are typically not just NCAA players. They're good NCAA players. They're better than average, and it's and now that a lot of those women have been in that league for 7-8 years, it's really evolved into something that's exciting to watch. So but I don't know, the PWHPA, like, I think that people are maybe a little bit too forward in thinking that every person that's a member of that is going to be a member of this league. That's probably not the case. So seeing some more trickle over to the PHF, highly likely.
Because was it like? Because I think the last number I heard was like what 200 some players are part of the PWHPA, or is it a little bit less now because some of them moving over? Because
it was just over 200 the last time I heard as well.
Yeah, like that. That's gonna be really tough trying to have rosters kind of set up like that, where it's like their Barnstorming has 4 teams, but having a 6-team league and you're having 200 players, you really don't see that as going to be like, how are you going to get every single player to be part of that? And that's where I kind of think if you merge the 2 leagues, then okay, now you kind of have something cooking where you could have a 12-team league, and now you can have bigger roster sizes. Maybe you're talking about, who knows, 16 to 18 teams and having every single player in the PWHPA and the PHF playing, to where now you can have a more sustained league with more teams and have more of a global touch in North America, instead of being, we're going to do 2 separate things. But now it's like, well, we have too many players because we don't have enough teams. It's like, just combine both, get 12 to 18 teams in your set, then everyone can be able to play. You're not going to have, people not being able to play because there's not enough roster space.
Yeah, and personally, I don't think the combination is going to happen. Yeah, I don't think the 2 leagues merging is ever going to happen.
Unfortunately not, because whatever reason, the PWHPA is kind of like, we're good.
No, and I think it's more than that. I think that they have a set idea of what they expected. I mean, we all saw it when the PWHPA formed, when they weren't, a lot of those players played the first couple seasons in the PHF, and they just weren't seeing what they wanted to happen. So,
and I think that was also right after the CWHL also got folded too. So I'm not saying that's
heartbreaking. And I think that's what they're trying to prevent. Unfortunately, in women's sports, you can't just like go out and do, because if you have one team that has to fold mid-season, they're going to say the entire league is a failure. You have not met the goal, and that's it for you. We're all done. Yeah, there's no middle ground in women's sports, and it's awful.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying it's the only reason that was just, they want to do it. It's just kind of like you said, some of the comments they've made, it kind of comes off as like, no, we don't want to, because it's not there yet. And it's still kind of like, it's not really like what Ian said.
It's a sour taste for sure.
It really is. And like you said, it's unfortunate. If it's one team, it's everybody. And it's like, that really stings. And that's why, like I said, it would be better if we were able to work it out to where they could merge. It's just, for whatever reason, it's just.
Unfortunately, I don't think that's ever going to be a thing. But before we run out of time, this gentleman has a book that I ordered. I'm waiting. They ran out of stock of your book on Amazon. So
Come on, Amazon. What are you doing?
Impatiently waiting.
You have a million other things be run out of Ian Kennedy's book. Like,
I know. Yeah, that one bothered me this week, because I saw, it came out, lots of people ordered, and then it disappeared briefly. So hopefully it's back soon. But it says, right? It's a good thing that lots of people ordered. So I have a book.
Yeah, right. So it's kind of a good and a bad thing. It's like, hey, people are buying my book. Oh no, I don't have enough of my stock.
Catch 22. People really want to read my book. However, some people got it and other people's don't. At least I ordered it. It says order received.
Wonderful.
We'll let you know when it ships. And I'm just like, I just want this book.
You're in limbo, basically. You're like, I may or may not get it sometime soon. We'll see.
One day, Ian's book will arrive at my front door, but I did at least read the synopsis. I'm very excited. I know
it's
you're focusing
On
on
Darkness. Yeah, and I guess the subtitle is Shining Light on Race and Sports. So it centers in Canada here, but of course, a lot of the issues, you both being American, Canada kind of has this reputation as being all inclusive, all welcoming, that we don't have the same issues that happen south of the border, but that's really false. It's kind of a history that we've made up for ourselves, and this book definitely exposes a lot of that through the lens of sports. So telling stories of Indigenous athletes and Black athletes and Japanese Canadian athletes in particular, but we look through, right from the time of slavery when sports were definitely still a part of the life of Black individuals at that time. It talks about residential schools here in Canada, which was, of course, our cultural genocide against Indigenous people, and follows, Japanese Canadians through internment during World War II after the bombing of Pearl Harbor, which I think a lot of Americans don't understand, that in Canada we did the exact same thing with Japanese Canadian people, and shipped them away from any coast and locked them into camps and made them work. And but yeah, it definitely, if it doesn't open your eyes a little bit to how race plays into sport, I don't think you're reading very well. You're probably not.
Maybe read it again.
Well, and like you said, that's the crazy thing too, is it's like, I don't think a lot of people even know that about Canada in terms of doing the exact same thing in the States, because all you hear is what the United States did.
Yeah,
you don't really get a lot of that. Like, I know we have history down here. We have U.S. history. We don't do a whole lot of in deep Canada stuff, but it's kind of like, it does need to be also kind of said too. It's like, it's not just one person's issue; it's a global issue.
Yeah, well, you obviously, all Black baseball teams and leagues were a big thing in the States, but in my town we have this team called the Chattin Colored All Stars that was the first ever all Black baseball team to win a provincial championship in Canada, so same as state championship, and they did it in 1934. At a time when they faced slurs and rocks and spit from everybody that they came into, and they barnstormed. But the title of the book actually comes from them, because when they were 1 out away from winning that championship, the umpires called the game on account of darkness, even though it was 4:00 in the afternoon. And all the players on the team and their descendants openly say that the only reason it was too dark is because there was 9 Black players on the team. But the history is there of, and it definitely gets into women as well in the book, because there's that intersectional issue of gender and sexuality and race that all come together. Like, hockey is not this all white thing that we make it out to be. In the 1800s, there was a league in the Maritimes, the east coast of Canada, and that's where the slap shot was invented by a Black man. And that's where the first ever goalie that dropped into a butterfly onto their knees was in that league as well. So a lot of the things that we think are fundamental that get given to other people, like, sure, do we remember Al McInnes or somebody like that had a great slap shot in the NHL? Yeah, but it stemmed from someone else that didn't even have the opportunity to play in the NHL. So the book discusses all of that. It tells some really interesting stories, and I'm glad you picked it up. Well,
yes.
You're right. I got to get my head going the right way here, but
no, it's okay. I have trouble pointing in the right direction. It's fine.
I know.
I'm here. But no, it's one of those things where I think, especially recently, a lot of people have started to understand how much racism really does play a role in Canada, especially when you hear players like Nazem Kadri speak out, Akeem Aliu, all of them coming forward and saying, these are things I experienced on a daily basis. Like, at the arena as a child, I experienced this event and this, and I had a coach say this to me, or a parent say this to my parents. I just feel like maybe Canadians were a little bit better at revising some of their history.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We really
Americans revised history, and then they were like, "Just kidding, you caught us."
Rearrange again.
We're not sorry about it. We're just going to come up with a different story this time.
Yeah, no, we definitely are. We, like I said, we portray ourselves as one way, but really in truth, we're not. And sport kind of is an exemplar of that. Sport is this always kind of just a lens to society and what's going on there, and it truly operates that way. So seeing somebody like the Toronto Six have an all-black ownership group, or well, I guess not all black, Ted Nolan's there, all people of color is incredible, and that's that representation is going to go so far to showing young people that the game can be for everyone. It's not for everyone. That hockey's for everyone is, of course, just a marketing slogan. It's not an actual truth. So
Zach and I are very firmly on the side of hockey should be for everyone, not hockey is for everyone, because it's not. They prove it every day.
I did a professional development for the San Jose Sharks a couple of weeks ago, and I titled my presentation "Hockey is not for everyone," and then I basically went at them for an hour. So. But they're
all do the fly in that room for that.
They're actually one of the organizations that's trying, so that's that's a good thing. And I seeing the Toronto Six do that, great. Of course, ownership is going to continue to shift around in the PHF. So, but yeah, buy the book. I hope you enjoy it, and it is available online. I know it's in and out of stock, but that will get taken care of. It will be shipping.
Yeah, well, I know this is a topic that comes up with the Blackhawks often because they have Chief Blackhawk as their primary logo. And the Indigenous artist who designed Marc-Andre Fleury's mask this past season actually spoke out I asked them, why didn't you change the logo? And the organization came out and said, we didn't make that change because we didn't want to revise that. We wanted to educate people. And they wanted to actually make change, which is why they do a land acknowledgement before every game. They have it posted in the United Center. They have it posted at Fifth Third Arena. They are working with the Indigenous communities in the area to raise funds, awareness, set up museums. They want to be the change. They don't just want to make a change. They want to be the change, which is a nice thing to see because you don't see that very often in the hockey world.
Yeah, that logo is being it's being changed here a lot in Canada right now. It's being kind of outlawed, and I do believe that the Chicago Blackhawks need to change that. It is offensive. I know it is a racist symbol, so that's it is great that they are willing to do the other things, but when your picture is that, it's a tough one to do, and that's hockey was used as a tool of assimilation in residential schools here in Canada to make Indigenous youth feel more Canadian, because hockey is this game that we consider Canadian. It's part of our identity, I guess. So it was introduced into residential schools with that exact goal of making Indigenous youth identify as Canadian. So it was kind of used as a weapon. Then once the kids loved it, then it could easily be taken away as discipline. So there's a role of hockey in terms of Indigenous youth that is not always discussed and not always recognized. So that's why, those not your mascot type conversations are really important to have. But yeah, the NHL, every NHL team needs to do more. That's for sure, of everything. So,
I know. Watching the Avs game on Saturday, so yesterday for me, but 2 days ago for everybody listening, the fact that they showed Edmonton's land acknowledgement on the TNT broadcast before the anthems played, that's another step, because that's not shown for the teams that do the land acknowledgement. They don't show it on television. No. And people don't know that happens because they don't show it. But it hurts my heart to that, the residential school. I mean, Indigenous kids are more Canadian than a white Canadian person because that's their land and it's been their ancestral land for centuries. So why did they need to feel more Canadian when they are the most Canadian people that are there?
Yeah, that also makes sense too. Yeah. Well, it also makes sense what you're doing, how the logo is banned up there. Because I was wondering why for a while, because I've seen a lot of publications out of Canada doing more of the tomahawks like their secondary logo more than their actual logo. So I was kind of wondering why that was the deal. Now we kind of know. Canada's like not so much.
Yeah, we're going. There's a lot of organizations right now that are changing logos, and I
think it was the Winterhawks.
The
Winterhawks changed to like the bird with the feathers, and it's thick.
Yeah.
I mean, that logo is amazing.
The Portland Winterhawks, and like I said, I know the Athletic has been doing a lot of the Tomahawk logo as their like graphic design stuff for their analytical stats that you see. So that kind of makes more sense of why they're doing that more than anything else.
It's going to happen. It's just, I don't think the Blackhawks aren't doing it money, right? That's a marketing thing. It's not anything to do with their racial sensitivity or whatever. It definitely it's a decision based on what they feel to be their legacy, even though it's not theirs. It's a decision based on the merchandise and things like that, and the cost to change their entire branding from a century. So it will change. I believe. I hope.
I think the change is coming, and what's funny is from a marketing and a merchandise standpoint, there are a whole lot of people who are going to want to buy new things, because I've seen plenty of internet people. I won't buy Blackhawks merchandise until the logo's changed. So
I mean, even if they just changed it to the Tomahawks, it'd still be a decent logo.
That logo's on the shoulders. I mean, it's an already existent logo. So
like
or a bird. They just need a bird.
Yeah,
or just
Tommy Hawk.
Or just the feather, or just the feathers. Make the feathers the main logo. You could easily do that. Like it wouldn't be hard to figure out. Like you get the 4 feathers because like how they have it on the mascot. Just put the 4 feathers as the logo, and there you go. There's so many options that they could easily do to change it to where it's still. They don't really have to change a lot of stuff. It's just you make something that's kind of like a secondary logo, the main logo, and go from there.
I have a Blackhawks tattoo. I did not get Chief Blackhawk tattooed on my arm. I just have the feathers because
I just have the feathers. I have the feathers with the tomahawk on it.
I thought it was insensitive to have that tattooed on my body, so I just have the 4 feathers.
Yeah, I just have the tomahawk and the tomahawk and the 4 feathers on mine.
So it'll be interesting to see. I'm definitely very much looking forward to reading your book, because I read every article that you post. So I'm very interested to go in depth and learn a lot more about this, because I think education is the most important thing when it comes to not just being not racist, but being anti-racist, because there are a difference between those two things.
Yeah. And I think we want to portray that sport is the spot where we can really just escape all the issues, where they don't exist, where we can forget about them. But that would be, people in privilege. That wouldn't be, you listen to Nazem Kadri tell the stories and all these other people that have spoken out recently about how they faced racial slurs at the arena. And that's not a safe place for so many people. So the book will explain all of that and more. It definitely uses examples from my area. I know that, being a Chicago fan, you might know Fergie Jenkins, who was a famous Chicago Cubs pitcher that is from my hometown as well. So, a lot of athletes that you will know are in the book. It's just there'll also be some lesser known people that their stories are important to be heard and told, and that they were willing to participate in this text, which hopefully does become an educational tool to at least spark some conversations about what we can do in sport to change the issues that are still presenting themselves today.
Oh, for sure. We'll definitely drop the link in our show notes for those who want to try to go buy the book. It'll be in the show notes to go check that out.
Since there's been inventory issues, maybe check more than once, just in case for some reason it pops up and it's not there.
I'll send you the specific link to my publisher, which you can buy the book there, and there will be 0 issues with stock, because there are thousands upon thousands of these books out there.
I might be canceling my Amazon order and ordering it through the publisher then.
All right, so everyone who's listening to the podcast or watching it, we'll have it in all of the show, like the description for the YouTube links, and we're also going to have it in the show notes to go
on Twitter, Instagram, everywhere
to go buy Ian Kennedy's book, because it's something that I think it's like you said, Ian, it's definitely that needs to be read and consumed and people to understand it. So I'm definitely going to order one myself as well. But
Zach, I feel like you and I should order one and then like highlight, take notes, and then send them to each other. And then compare notes and then send them back.
If you guys read it, I'll definitely come back on and we can discuss all of the things that are in there. So
a mini book club on Ian's book. It's fantastic.
Well, Ian, it was a pleasure talking to you. Where can everybody find you when it comes to your writing, your social media, things like that?
Yeah, so you can find me pretty much every day on the Hockey News, as well as Yahoo Sports NHL. I do analysis and draft prospects and stuff there as well. But on Twitter is my main spot, at Ian Kennedy CK, from a town called Chattin, Kent, so that's where the CK comes from. But same thing for Instagram, at Ian Kennedy CK. So that's my pretty much where I go out in public on social media, and the rest of it's me time. So that's you can't find me anywhere else.
Perfect. Well, Zach and I will definitely be messaging as soon as the book has been read, so we can come and have a good discussion about the things we learned, the things we have more questions about, because I'm sure I will have like a whole notebook full of questions after I've finished your book.
There'll be like about 50 to 60 like post-it notes in different colors, subsectioning different things we want to talk about.
This will just be your stack of lined post-it notes. I'm just going to set that aside for the book. Well, it was an absolute pleasure speaking with you, Ian. I look forward to reading more of your writing and talking to you again soon once we've gotten our hands on your book and we give it a good read.
Thank you so much for having me, both of you.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
have a great night. Thanks,
you
Ian.
As well.
Bye-bye. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So I can't wait to get this book.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited. I'm really excited to give it a read. It's definitely something that people are gonna need to definitely put it part of their book collections. Mm-hmm. So, because like I said, it's something that needs to be read. Like it'll be perfectly next to all the other hockey books I have on my bookshelf, like Boys of Winter, about the 80 team, Keith Magnuson,
of
Pierre
the book,
Paulette.
Ian has already sent me the link for his publisher for the book. What an MVP, like legend status. I just looked at my phone went off and it was like Ian Kennedy sent a link.
What an absolute legend.
Perfection.
No, but it's gonna look good next to all the other hockey books I own in my bookshelf.
Yes. Well, all of my hockey books, because I mean I have several, but I mean they're mostly like bios and stuff. I read them and then I just put them on the coffee table. So I just have like hockey books on the coffee.
Yeah, like I had like Keith Magnuson's, Pierre Paulette's, Stan Mikita's, Sanderson from the Bruins when he was with them. I think there's like some Boys of Winter about the 80 team. Like eventually Mr. Hockey will get on there too because it's Mr. Hockey.
I've got Eddie O's book, Max Domi's book. Got a book about John Brophy because I love that man.
Yeah.
Sean Thornton's book. I mean,
I need to get Eddie. I need to get Eddie O's. I need to get Sean Thornton's.
So
I have Theo Fleury's book, which was really good too. But I need to get Sean's and Eddie O's. Yeah, for sure.
Well, but do you know what time it is?
Is it hammer time?
Close. It's candidates time.
Oh, it's that time for the dips.
It's time for the dips because we've got to talk about. We have to talk about the dips. So obviously I have peach, which unfortunately is no longer available.
I'm sad because I wanted to try the peach because I like peach and I'm kind of sad.
Savoring this. Like I'm
jealous.
I basically peach on Sundays when we record and then I put it away for the week.
I peach on Sundays. That's fantastic.
I peach on Sundays when we record.
Hashtag peach on Sundays.
Hashtag peach Sundays.
So hey, candidates, if you're listening.
Hashtag Peach Sundays. What's up? I got you. So if you guys head down to the link right here, our little friend, candidatecbd.com/bellyup20, you're going to get 20% off 10 milligrams of CBD per pouch, 150 milligrams per can. If you get the metal cans, you don't get the cool little special storage thingy like you do in the plastic cans. The plastic cans have like a cool little disposal section for your used If you cannot get to a trash can, because we do not litter, WoHawks. Yeah. Littering is unacceptable. That is not something that we do. We protect the environment. Also, just going to hop on a diatribe real quick. We also don't release balloons for things, okay? The fishes and the turtles do not appreciate it. Please stop releasing balloons. Like, I understand. When you lose someone, you want to send messages to heaven. I get it. Stop it. Plant a tree. Do something that you can visit every year. Stop releasing balloons. Anyway, off my diatribe. So Canadips is awesome and wonderful, and we love it. It helps me greatly with my anxiety. I know the same for you.
Anxiety, depression, joint pains from playing a lot of sports and hurting myself. Yeah. I do have to say, though, the strawberry cough.
Is it good?
It's good. I like it, but I'm telling you right now,
if you look at my
mango
3 strawberry coughs, like none of the seals are broken because I'm just not there yet. But you can get a 3-pack of these and you get stickers, and the stickers are free, and you get 3 cans of Canadips, and we love them.
I alternate, so it's like I have like strawberry one day, then they have the mango. I kind of like alternate it. I'm
digging the tangy citrus.
I need to get that one next, but I have been the last few days, the last I think like 2-3 days, I have been kind of double dipping, like one in the morning, one at night.
Oh, sir.
Yeah. It's
sir.
My stash might go out a little bit faster than I thought it was going to be, because like I said, it's been.
But you've got a promo code, so you can get 20% off when you order more. I do have to say
this though, for the fact that my 2 cans plus shipping, $19.98, which is absolutely fantastic. It's worth the 2 cans. Plus, when you open these things, the smell alone, even the I'm even here for the smell. That's how nice these are. But no, I mean,
well, like I do it every episode.
Okay.
Order your Canadips. This is your ASMR moment. Order your Canadips. You'll love it.
Oh no, I would highly recommend it too. It's like I said, it's so good. It mellows you out really nice, and the flavor is really nice too. Like, you don't need a dip cup. It's just you pop it in, hour or 2. Just make sure you swallow. Don't swallow the pouch. Just swallow
don't swallow the pouch. You can swallow your saliva. Swallowing the saliva is okay. It's not going to hurt anything.
But I mean, I would definitely recommend these guys. Like, the good thing too about this, it's just CBD. You don't have to worry about anything else. It's just the CBD part of it. So I could not highly recommend these guys anymore. Like, I got my mom to try these things. I've got buddies from work. I'm telling these things are going to be really nice to have. Because I think for me, I drive trucks around in the yard all day. So with a CDL, these things are
lifesaver.
They're a lifesaver for that, and they work out to where it's like you can still drive CDL trucks and have these, because it's just it's the right stuff to have. Plus, the flavor is amazing,
and you don't get high. Like, no, you're not getting a high from this. You're also not getting like super like stoner chill. Like, it levels you out, which is the thing that I love about it the most. Like, it's
that's kind of what I needed it for, is more of like a leveling out and helping with joints and stuff, because blowing out knees, breaking ankles. It's like need a little something to help out with that type of stuff.
But
even for the mentals too, because it's been, like I said earlier in the show, my mentals have been so off. Yeah. Since the Hurricanes got eliminated, it's just like, I haven't watched any of the Avalanche games.
In Blackhawks world, we were eliminated a long time ago, so I'm already over that part.
Well, you got the Avalanche. We got to remember too. I also am a Blackhawks fan. Like I said, I have a tattoo of the Blackhawks on me. So I mean, they're obviously my other team. If you asked me a year ago, we
didn't exist. You stepped away from them, and it was fine. But
it was a few month hiatus, because everyone knows. But
I'm wondering, did you notice that we had a different sponsor name to start the show?
Yeah, Shocked Hydrate is now.
Well, you can still purchase at shockedhydrate.com. Use WoHockey, get you 20% off. But 10%, they are it's 10%. I'm sorry, get your 10% off. But they have merged with Level Up Snacks, and they're becoming under there. So Shocked Hydrate is officially Level Up Snacks, not just Shocked Hydrate anymore. So I'm assuming there are going to be yummy, delicious goodies coming.
I'm
excited about that.
Because I know they had like They had a little vial of something. I know you had it last time. I forget what it was.
This wasn't a snack. This is like an energy sniffer thing.
Right. So
I will not demonstrate because it is not cute.
No, what you're saying? You're not gonna be Amber Heard on the stand acting like you're sniffling into your Kleenex.
No.
Yeah, but I am curious to see what kind of snacks they're gonna come out with because it's weird. Snacks. They were like what?
It was just shocked energy. And then it went to shocked hydrate. And now it's level up snacks. And I like snacks. Guys, snacks are my favorite thing. I have like a whole snack cart back there. You can't see it, but it's like back there behind my desk. So
kind of see it a little bit, but guys, please.
No, you actually you can't. It's behind this shelf.
Oh, okay.
It's like on the other side. Yeah.
So, guys, please stick to one name. We've had you for not even like 4 months. Please stick to one name. I'm tired of changing logos.
I am all for growth. Also, this logo's kind of awesome.
It is leveling up.
Yes,
so I mean,
it is leveling up. And then, of course, we can't forget our friends at In the Clutch Apparel because they do have officially licensed gear for all your sports. They've got some sick vintage hockey stuff.
Oh,
code again is WoHo Hockey because we keep it easy for y'all because we love you. And you're gonna get a discount, 10%.
I mean, some of those are pretty. The Colorado Rockies, the Cincinnati Mighty Ducks,
Chicago Cougars. I mean,
the Cincinnati Sting. Like, there's a lot. The Atlanta Thrashers are even on there. The New England Whale from the old WHA days.
The fact that the Atlanta Thrashers are considered vintage, like my brain doesn't compute that because they became a team when I was a child, and now their stuff is considered vintage. And I'm like, but am I vintage? Does that make me vintage?
According to some people, when you hit your 30s, you start becoming vintage, and you're just getting closer.
Well, then I'm like vintage and then some. Crap. Oh, this is awful. Awful.
So self-plug, I also do have some merch on In the Clutch too. So,
and when you go to hockey, you can find all of our Belly Up merch on there too. We've got several podcasts that have merch on In the Clutch, and it's on the hockey page. So
yeah, I've had a lot of people come out and ask me like, "Hey, how did you make that work?" Just DM them. It's not that hard.
I mean,
that's what I did.
One day it is coming. There will be a WoHo Hockey shirt on intheclutch.com. But my friend,
maybe also on Bonfire too, because we also do have a Bonfire.
No. But we're running out of time, my sir. So
we're at 126, Beth. What are you talking about?
That's 4 minutes. And do you know how long it takes for us to close out this show?
Oh, with our Midwest goodbyes, not the Irish goodbyes.
Yeah.
If it was an Irish goodbye, I can just be like bye and just dip out.
See, we don't do that. We are Midwesterners, so we're like, well, looks like it's time to. Sir, do not Irish goodbye me. Hold up, get out of here. Anyway, everybody, so.
It's just, I'm sorry I had to do it. It was just so great.
It's okay because I returned the favor. So, my friend.
Oh, man. If you're watching the YouTube version, people are going to be like, what the heck?
The audio version is going to be even more confusing, okay?
Oh, my gosh.
Zachary, where can the people find you on the interwebs?
You can find me at One True Zach. That's ONE True Zach. That's not the number. It's spelled out. So it's not the Oneaters. It's just One True Zach. All that good stuff. Beth, where can people find you on the socials? Yes, you. No, the other Beth on the podcast.
Where is she? Get her out of here. So
sus, an imposter.
Sus, imposter. You can find me on Twitter at WonderBeffers. It is WONDER because we like to confuse the people.
So it's like, I wonder what happened to the Oneaters.
It's like, I wonder who this wonderful human being that's talking to me is. Heyo. And of course, you can find our podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Talk Hockey Pod. You can find us on YouTube where you should be watching this video, where you should be smashing the subscribe button and then clicking that little bell.
Yeah. Down here. Guys, down here.
Down over there.
Over here. Yeah. Yeah. Subscribe.
Hit the bell. All notifications so that you get a little
there's also a share button down here. Share it to your friends.
Also, there's a like button. Like we need validation. So like hit that thumbs up too. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, you can actually shoot us an email at letstalkwohockey@gmail.com. So
if you get a sassy email back, that's all Beth. She does all the email stuff. She does all the email stuff. So if you said,
but I'm gonna sign it as you. So when people get emails back, they're gonna be like, "I got a sassy email and it said it was from Zach." So
if you listen to this episode, now you know who actually did it, and it's not me. So she outed herself.
I did. It's true. But I am Beth. That is my dude Zach. You have enjoyed the last 90 minutes of Let's Talk Hockey with our amazing guest Ian Kennedy. We look forward to talking to you next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.
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 Thank you for watching this Belly Up Media production. Some said we'd go belly up, so we made it our name. And we're still here. Ha!